You can tweak the sound. Like so this is broadcaster 1. Well, this is broadcaster 2.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, FM station.
That sounds even worse.
Yeah, crisp and modern,
We're recording.
warm and vintage.
We're recording.
Here, I'll go back to broadcaster 1. There, broadcaster 1.
That sounds
So,
okay.
okay,
Sounds like you're from Boston
that's right. I got my
because you're wearing
Boston.
all Boston clothing right now. What is that?
Yeah,
Golf?
golf, Celtics, baby, basketball.
Oh, I'm not a basketball fan. I'm sorry. It wasn't involved in that sport, I would say. I prefer to use better use of my time, like playing Moncala or dominoes or any fucking game
What?
out there that's not basketball.
Oh man, I grew up watching basketball. I mean, it's funny because right, everybody's just like Michael Jordan and well, everybody's like LeBron James, LeBron James. Like I grew up watching Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Sean Kemp.
A lot of
Like,
people
yeah.
don't like Michael Jordan. I got him mixed up with Magic Johnson at one point in my life,
What?
but I thought he had AIDS and not Magic
Uh,
Johnson. MJ, it's the MJs. I don't do good with those initials, I would say. But I heard Larry Bird talk about like he was back in the day was like the best at basketball. Like everybody say like Larry Bird, Larry Bird. And I saw a
Celtics.
documentary with him and he was like, I thought I was the top of my class until I met Michael Jordan and I realized that's a whole nother person. And I'm like, wow, like it just shows you like what level of craziness are you able to go to? Like with Mike Tyson, for instance, I was looking at some of his old interviews. Oh my God. The fact that anybody could step into a ring with that man. He has a thing where he goes, I want to eat his heart. I want to kill, I want to eat his heart. And he's like, I'm going to fuck you until you love me, was what he said in an interview. I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know how to feel if I was a competitor. I would probably have nightmares and just fears of my entire life of like, oh my God, this guy is literally going to fuck me until I love him, which is probably going to be a very long time.
You know, it's funny, man. I was alive when Mike Tyson went through his heyday. So, as I think I was like a teenager or a preteen, I remember watching Mike Tyson fights on, like I said, back in the day, because my parents used to get us like the wrestling pay per views. Like I saw WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania. I think it was on closed circuit. I don't think it was called pay per view yet. So I think the boxing matches they were on closed circuit TV. Well, my buddy, he got all the channels for free. He had one of those illegal boxes
Yeah.
where all the channels came in for free. So I remember watching the Mike Tyson fights with him. And I actually remember him losing to Buster Douglas. Like I watched that live happen. It was like insane because yeah, no one could beat Mike. Like he knocked everybody out. It's like a movie, right? Like Mike Tyson, like literally knocked everybody out in 30 seconds. That's that's what he did. You know,
See,
and then he got crazy, bit people's was it Evander Holyfield's ear off and stuff.
I don't see that as him going crazy. I watched my little nephew take his heel of his foot and stomp on my other little nephew's head out of pure excitement. Just being so excited that he couldn't control it. And he was like, and he just slammed his heel down on my little nephew's head. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I remember that. Like, one time I got excited one time and I bit my brother, I think when I was like super little. It's just getting excited. You know, you ever had so much joy where you have to like punch, you have to scream, you have to do something. It's the same thing with Mike Tyson. At that point, he just had to bite somebody's ear off.
No, he knew he was losing, and he,
Ah,
you
that's
know,
a conspiracy.
no, he knew he was
Oh,
losing, and his anger
oh.
got the best of him, right? Just I can, you know me, I'm a Star Wars guy. Like it relates to Anakin Skywalker,
How the
his
fuck does Mike
anger.
Tyson biting an ear off relate to Anakin Skywalker
What do
slicing
you mean?
off Luke Skywalker's
You can
arm?
no, you can relate Star Wars to anything. I'm talking about Anakin's turn to the
Don't
dark
no
side. He
no
gave into
no
his anger.
no no
Mike
stop. Hang on.
Tyson
All right.
gave into his anger and
Relate
bit
oh,
somebody's ear off.
you can relate Star Wars to anything.
Yeah.
You really want to have this debate right now?
What do you mean have this debate? What debate? You can relate Star Wars.
Relate 9/11 to Star Wars.
The
Don't
Death
you dare
Star.
say that. No.
Alderaan.
No.
Alderaan.
No.
The Death
Okay.
Star blew up Princess Leia's home planet of Alderaan.
I'll give you the Alderaan one. All right, relate Bill Cosby to something in Star Wars.
Well, we haven't gone over that area in Star Wars yet.
There's an area of Star Wars that's a Bill Cosby era.
Oh.
What to say? Go over the Mr. Rogers era for me, why don't you?
Hey, Mr. I don't care. I don't care how many times I'm on your show.
Die on that hill.
I will say this every single time. Mr. Rogers is a saint. He's a saint.
I started laughing because when you tossed out that amazing memory you had, and I'm like trying to think of what kids' memories are going to be in the future. Like kids, like what a kid's going to be like. I remember when Pokemon Go was invented and fucking so many people died because they were walking out into the middle of the street trying to catch a fucking
Wait
Charmander.
a minute. Pokemon Go brought people together. Like even me and my young.
It did for the first couple of months, but then if you notice, they updated it after a month and a half, saying please do not use this while driving. Is because
you couldn't use it while driving.
A lot of people. Well, now initially it just said please don't use this while you're driving, and it would alert you if you were moving above 5 miles an hour. But then it would you could hit OK, and it would go away, and it wouldn't respond to you again. It was just a warning message. So many people were in car accidents. So many people were getting hit by cars. So many people were not paying attention and getting killed because of the app that they had to release that. And even then, it still continued. But now they didn't have any. They don't have any. It doesn't go back to them because they sent out that warning message. Even if you skip through, it's like terms and conditions. How many times do you fucking read them and you scroll all the way to the bottom and just hit accept to get on to what you want to get to? They gave you that message letting you know, warning, this is going to cause seizures. So you're okay. Now that we've warned you, we're not in causation of whatever happens to you during the rest of this game or whatever.
They fixed it, by the way, because there was one day I was in the car and I couldn't, hit the Pokestop.
I tried to swing by this one. That was the thing, though. Like, I remember, like, imagine being a parent, like my parent, for instance, when I was running out of the house at 3:00 in the morning. Where are you going? I'm like, I have to go catch Pokemon. And, like, in the mind of that parent has to be like, that my kid's doing drugs. My kid is doing underground porn. My kid is doing something. Who the fuck is going out at 3:00 in the morning to catch a Pokemon is the dumbest excuse. But it was the legit thing I was doing. So it was like hard to understand that. You got to understand when this app came out, that wasn't like a normal thing. That was like, why are you leaving my house at 3:00 in the morning? And your son goes, I have to go catch Pokemon. And you're like, what the fuck? You're immediately going to think your kid's doing drugs.
No, that was the thing. I mean, I never went out at
You're
3
saying
in the morning.
that was the thing, but
yeah,
that's
it was
not
at the time. It was the thing. Dude, I was even playing Pokemon Go
on the initial release, man. The first day it came out, I ran out of my house at 3:00 in the morning saying I have to go catch Pokemon. Now, in the eyes of a parent, they're like, what the fuck is my kid doing out of the house at 3:00 in the morning to go catch Pokemon? It's the dumbest excuse. I literally came back, like, you could have thought of anything. You could have said, like, I'm going to go, my buddy broke down across the street, but you give me a fucking Pokemon excuse? I'm like, no, literally, that's what I was doing. I had to show them the app and everything. And they were like, because there was no time before that where that was a normal thing. Now it's actually a causation for it to be normal.
Yeah, it's actually I think it's a great game invention because it gets people outside. It gets people walking
Until you
and
hack
moving
it,
and
you can just sit in your
exercising.
room.
Look, I've actually caught Pokemon in like San Francisco and other countries because you have to hack it to get the ones in the other countries.
Yeah.
Mr. Mime was like in the UK, and there's some other ones. I only really did Pokemon for about a year or so. Like I said, I did it with my brother. My brother, super hardcore Pokemon guy, and we used to meet up downtown Indy, walk the canal, and do the raids and catch the Pokemon. Him and his son. That's what I was telling you, dude. It actually brought families together. In my instance, we meet up, play it together, walk downtown, exercise, spend time as a family, and play a game.
The weirdest thing is when you found out there are people that you never thought in a million years would play Pokemon Go, and then you are all at the same Pokestop. You look up and you're like, "Oh my god, that kid used to bully me in school, and now he's playing Pokemon Go."
But it's great because it like Star Wars, it brings lots of different kinds of people together. Like you said, it's just not your typical Cheetos finger video game nerd that is playing. No, it's everybody. I'm talking, I saw kids to teenagers, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I saw elderly people I'd be somewhere and they'd be like, you get that one Pokemon? And they would show me like their Pokédex. I'm like, how old are you?
I
I'm
almost
like, that's
shit
all
my
right.
pants playing Pokemon Go.
It's fun. It is fun.
Not until you shit your pants.
Uh, well, what?
I
How
was
did
went
you shit your
I
pants?
went to where one of the main, like, there were like 50 Pokestops at this one. We call it our Ocean City Rec Center. It's like has this long bike trail. It goes on for like 2 miles or whatever, but it's all around a giant track. So I remember walking with my brother and I was like, dude, I really gotta take a shit, man. And none of it was at nighttime and none of the things were open. All kids are running by catching Pokemon. People are sitting at Pokestops under trees and just waiting for, like, it was like that perfect like 80s Malcolm in the Middle scene where it's like, oh my God, nobody's afraid to talk to each other. Nobody's afraid of, like, communication. Well, I was sitting there, I was like, I gotta go. And my brother was like, you can wait 5 minutes. I waited 5 minutes. I was like, no, I legit have to go. I mean, standing straight up in the car while I'm driving, like, oh my God, I'm not going. That's the one time I got pulled over and I got out of a ticket because I told the cop I had to poop. He was like, why are you speeding? I'm like, I don't care what you have to do. Here's my license and registration. I need to get home because I have to use the bathroom really bad. That's why I'm driving like this. And he just goes,
The
I understand.
shit.
He goes, go the speed limit though, and then let me go. And I freaking went. Swear to you, hand to God. I'm not religious, so hand to something I believe in.
Hand of bacon.
And I hate bacon.
Oh, you're the right. You have your certificate to the bacon church, the Church of Bacon.
God, you remembered.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that reference since like episode 300 of mine.
Oh, I know.
It's been a while.
I know. I know. It's been a long time. There you go. You swear to the Church of Bacon.
See, that's funny how I have that, my minister's license under the United Church of Bacon. I don't have my Pastafarianism license.
You have the Star Wars thing you told me.
Yeah, the
You're
Order of the
certified
Jedi.
as a
Yeah.
Jedi. Yeah, yeah.
I don't have that one printed out on my wall though, because that's the one I care least about.
But speaking of Star Wars, and I mean, you can see behind me if anybody's watching on YouTube, like I collect, right? So speaking of Pokemon Go, and what's really addicting about the game is I think what really attracted me was I'm not familiar with Pokemon or the characters or phase 1, 2, 3, what, and they're called different regions and this and that. I didn't know anything about it, but what really drew me to it was the collecting aspect, right? And then once I get that collecting bug, right, I go nuts. So the game, it's really fulfilling when you're just like, all right, I caught right at the beginning. You're right, I caught two. How many is there? There's 100. I got to catch them all. So right, it
That's
gives you
kind of
like a goal.
That's the motto of the show was got to catch them all.
That see, well, and that's what I had to do. I had to do a jailbreak. I had to, do a hack. So I caught the one in the UK and caught the one in Australia because I had to have them all. It's that collector's thing. So that's another good thing about it. Well, I don't know if it's good. That's kind of like a
depends on how much time you want to waste, I guess, playing the. I mean, I'm at fault. I did it when it first came out. I played it for a good couple months, hacked it and everything. Got a whole. I mean, it's cool to do like two, but I mean, I collect a lot of dumb shit, so I can't really say that. Like you.
so you see me on all my Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
So what?
but
Yeah, what do you collect?
I
Like,
had
do you
this-
have like a
I have
vice
nothing
where you're
now.
just like,
I have nothing now.
I mean, nothing. You don't
Maybe-
collect anything.
Nostalgia toys, I guess I would get at like a thrift store,
Okay.
but I wouldn't pay a lot for, and I wouldn't hoard. I don't have anything I think now that I hold worth, to be 100% honest with you. I think I just started realizing everything's bullshit. So I was just like, why collect
It's
stuff?
not. I was just saying this because I was.
Why be happy? Why would you want to be happy when everything in life is telling you not to be happy? So why are you collecting shit
Hey,
that's just gonna
sometime.
when you die, everyone is gonna get all your stupid Star Wars stuff, and it's gonna suck for
Fine.
them because they're gonna be selling it on the internet trying to figure out
Probably.
pricing.
Yeah, but that's what's amazing. So like, right, I found stuff yesterday. Like when I went out, I found more Star Wars toys than I bought them. And when I was out, and these have been out for a few months, but they have the He-Man retro figures. Dude, they're the same molds they used in the 80s. And all I could think to myself is, I used to have every single one of these figures when I was a kid. Like my mom, my
That's
parents.
such a panty dropper. Like that's how you'd approach a girl. I have every Star Wars figure that you've ever seen. Like, if you want to see my, it reminds me of the.
No,
It reminds me of the Simpsons episode when the comic book guy he goes up to he gets to ask a question to the people at the Marvel convention, and if you get a really good question, they hire you. So he forgot his question and he falls out. He's like, no, he's like, this is the worst thing of my entire life. And then the guy from DC Comics comes up and goes, hey, we'll take you over here at DC. And he goes, no, it got even worse. And I'm like, oh man.
You got to remember, man, like, right, everything recycles. So like anything in the 80s is like super cool right now. So if you have the old He-Man figures, Star Wars figures, GI Joes, Transformers, they're like worth so much money. And I had all the He-Man. I had all the rubber. This really upsets me, man. I had all these original rubber wrestlers when I was a kid.
Oh
And
my
they're rubber.
God.
And
You were that
they were
guy.
one pose and that was it. And this is what I was explaining this to my son. I was just like, because I gave him all my old baseball, basketball cards. We were talking about cards because cards are like super popular right now. And it got me in this conversation with him about like my toys. And I was telling him, I said, what makes things collectible was those rubber wrestlers. They made one line of them. It's not like they mass produced them. Like, like they do some toys now where they just keep making, like, some of the Star Wars stuff. They keep making an Anakin Skywalker over
Yeah,
year after year after year after
I have
year.
a Kiss comic, or not comic book, Kiss book, and the original first 500 copies, the ink is their blood. So I
Oh,
have
that's
that one.
amazing. See, that is collectible. And okay, the rubber wrestlers, they made these rubber wrestlers and then they went to the plastic ones, right? So like this is the only line of these, so it's collectible. I had all of them. And like I said, I had rubber wrestlers, I had original Star Wars toys, Transformers, GI Joes, Garbage Pail Kids, you name it, man. I had all my parents like went ape shit and bought us like, my parents like bought us everything like Christmas time and this and that. So when we moved, so I used to live in Massachusetts. When we moved to Indiana, my parents left all of our 80s toys up in the attic in Massachusetts and left them behind. So whoever bought our house in Massachusetts, and they didn't know it right at the time, but they literally had a gold mine of 80s
Damn,
memorabilia toys.
that's like when you see those videos on Facebook at like 1 o'clock in the morning where someone like buys a house and they discover a secret door and then it goes into a vault and
Yeah.
they try and figure out what's in the vault. It's like imagine if you bought a house and you figured out you bought Al Capone's house, like his side house, and there was just $1 billion in the house. What would you buy with that $1 billion?
What would I buy with $1 billion? A whole bunch of Star Wars stuff.
Probably, but let's look at like maybe what that's probably $100,000 out of the billion. What else would you
No,
do
no,
with the
no.
billion?
So like,
Why don't you buy
I
movie rights?
ooh, yes, actually, I would probably go into music because once you buy like, um, once you buy like music rights, like the royalties, right? Because the Beatles, like maybe I'd buy like the Beatles, all the Beatles royalties because that went from Paul McCartney to Michael Jackson. That's how Michael Jackson made a living for a really long time with was off Beatles royalties. So yeah, I'd probably buy some music royalties. Heck, dude, if we have $1 billion, let's just make a movie. Let's make our own movie.
They made a movie, I think it was called Billion Dollar Movie. It was just two guys made a movie for $1 billion, but they literally spent most of their budget on just getting Johnny Depp in it. And like it was the dumbest movie you had ever seen. Like it was like shitty. Like they filmed it, I think, for like a couple $1,000s, and they used the rest of it on just dumb shit. And like I remember they got the guy who funded the thing for $1 billion. He was sitting in the theater at the ending, and they show up to him and they're like, "What'd you think of the movie?" And it's like the end when the credits roll, and he goes, "I paid $1 billion for this shit," and it just ends because it was just a bunch of dumb stuff. Like they spent most of the budget having fun travel dinners and all these things and just blowing it like people do. And then they filmed like a short movie for a couple $1,000s and then showed it to him, and he was like, "Really?" But it was like, yeah, that's how I would
You know,
be.
it reminds me of a super low budget. This one was actually successful. Was the Blair Witch Project, right? The handheld. That was the beginning of handheld camera movies. Was the Blair Witch because then they did Cloverfield. That was like handheld, and then they've done a bunch of them since. But yeah, the Blair Witch. I think that was made for what
Well,
a few $1,000.
remember when Hardcore Henry came out? That was a really big movie because it was shot first person, so you get to see this dude fighting and jumping. Like it was like 007, I would say, but first person perspective type thing. Less sex and martinis, more shooting and killing people. You know what I mean? Like, I just saw a really good movie called Boss Level. It's on Hulu. Um, it's basically a rated R version of Groundhog Day. Like the dude keeps
Ooh.
dying, but people are assassinating him every single time. So he has to keep trying to survive and doing all these things, then get to the ending and try and stop the sequence from repeating all over again. But it's a fucking good movie. I remember he got stabbed with a sword and he was like, the only part I hate or the only feeling worse than getting stabbed by a sword is this one time. And then it's him jumping off the back of a truck and someone shoots him right in the dick and he just falls to the ground. He was like, that is about as painful as experiencing. Because actually, with a sword, for instance, the sword stab isn't what really hurts the most. What hurts is pulling it out.
Pulling it out.
When you pull
Yep.
the sword out is where the most pain is, and that's meant to be on purpose.
That's why in movies they usually leave it. Most movies, some movies, they leave it in, right? They leave it in until they get, or someone gets stabbed. They leave the knife in until they get to the hospital. Yeah, you pull it out, and that's when you bleed out, right?
Why do you think it's more painful pulling it out? Is it because it's slower and you don't really see it when it happens? Like I saw a dude, remember I told you worst emergency room cases ever, and the dude was mowing his lawn during a tornado and got a tree branch through his neck, like fucking straight side to
Yo,
side all the way through. And I'm like, that see, I'd rather it be spontaneous like that. If I knew somebody was gonna come and I'm going to stab you and then come at you with a knife like how they do in the self-defense classes where like I'm coming with a knife at you like this. And it's like I don't fucking know anybody that stabs like that. They go for the
Michael
gut and they
Myers.
twist. Let's talk about realness here, not just the movie shit.
Hey man, that could be real.
Yeah, I mean, would you, if you could, purge, you have one night, would you dress up as like a serial killer and try and kill people?
Oh, if there was the purge, no, dude, I would be a little bitch and I'd be like hiding in my basement. I'd have like a door that has like chain
I
locks on.
don't
I'd be
think I could
hiding.
kill anybody,
Yeah, I'd
man.
hide.
I, I,
Yeah.
once you see death and once you understand what that is and once you understand like more what's behind the life, I just feel like I don't have that ability to be. But there are some times like somebody pisses me off enough, and then I'm like, I understand OJ. Like I get it, I get it. He got really pissed off, and then he did something that he didn't
Wait a
do.
minute. The glove didn't fit, so
Yeah,
you
he didn't
must
do
he
it.
quit.
No, he
Okay.
just got arrested for trying to steal back all his memorabilia with assault
Now,
rifles.
look, I agree with that,
I
man.
do
I mean,
too. I do too.
no,
You won a
I don't.
trophy. I want that fucking
Yeah,
trophy.
I don't. Now, granted, I don't agree with the thieving. Okay, don't get me wrong here, but the man earned, you know, that like the Heisman
Did
Trophy,
he
and
though?
yeah, of course he had to put
Did
the
he
effort
though?
in. What do you mean? Yes, he was a
Steroids?
hell of an athlete. He was a
Steroids?
hell of an actor in The Naked Gun.
He was very good. And I remember I was like, guys, you know this person? And like, that's OJ. I'm like, that's OJ? I'm like, he's so young and handsome.
Yeah, yep,
Now he's just
yeah,
crazy on Twitter.
yeah. I once again like I think he
I'm gonna
either
trend cancel Star Wars. That's what I'm gonna do with my
I,
aspirations for the next year.
oh
Because right now
boy.
everybody's boycotting Amazon. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna cancel Star Wars in general. I don't like the
Yeah,
space factor. I'm offended.
yeah, but people have already made their stance and they canceled Disney Plus because of the Gina Carano thing. See, did that really work? No, because you have WandaVision, you have Marvel, you have,
Yo, so I
other
just
Disney
watched
shows.
all WandaVision yesterday.
Excellent.
Yes, and
So
when
good.
they had 2 visions pop up, I cracked the corniest dad joke. I was like, "I'm seeing double vision,"
Oh my.
and my buddy didn't even chuckle. I was like, "Wow, I thought that was fucking good."
Oh, I like the way it got resolved when he talked himself out of fighting each other. Spoiler, but little
I would
spoiler,
have
but
loved to see somebody's
good.
head get ripped off, but that's okay.
But anyways, great show. Like I said, I don't want to give any spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched it, but if you're into Marvel at all, 100% watch this show. It's really good. Really good. And hopefully you won't get too confused with the ending because I had to look up what everything.
A
I'm
lot of
not
that
like,
stuff comes from the comic books.
yeah. That's what I had to research. I'm not like hardcore into Marvel
Only Star
comics.
Wars we
So
know. Because
there you go.
you have so much invested into it. Like at this point, if you tried to research anything else, I don't think anything else would stick in your brain as much as Star Wars has.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong, because I love, Marvel. I love Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all that stuff. But yeah, it's hard to remember everything. So,
I'd rather Harry Potter be real than Star Wars.
well, but that's like what I mean, but it's You can kind of relate them, man. You got wizards, Jedis,
Stop
you got the
relating
bad
stuff to
guys,
Star
the
Wars.
Sith.
Okay, relate why geese are assholes to me then. Relate why how is that in relation to Star Wars? And don't you say Ewoks, because Ewoks are nice and adorable. Geese, I just want to
Geese could be
stomp.
the Tusken Raiders, and they're fucking annoying
That's
as
fucking
hell,
God. You
right?
got me on that one too.
You know, they kidnap and they torture people for no
Relate,
reason.
relate. Um,
Geese.
damn it. I don't know. I can't win on this one. Everything I think of is like it's like wouldn't even be involved in like the Eater machine isn't involved in Star Wars, and there's nothing you could relate the Eater machine to.
I mean, hell, dude, there's even an ice cream machine in Star Wars.
Well, the Eater machine's not really that, but okay. Do you know what the Eater machine is?
I have no clue.
In 2009, there was a robot that was invented. It was going to be this whole line of robots, but we stopped going into robotic technology. Now we're just focused on enhancing people's capabilities with robotic technology. But the Eater machine was a AI unit that fed off corpses. So it actually, when it killed somebody, it would actually pick it up, and then it had like this wood chipper thing in the back that would put the body in, and it would use it as fuel. And that was in 2009. It was EATR, which means ergonomic advanced technology robotic system or something like that. And it would that's what it would that's the idea for it. And a bunch of people were like, yo, that's some fucking that's heavy, bro. That's some heavy
That's
stuff.
fucked up. It's like the fucking DeLorean from Back to the Future. You know, you put garbage in it for fuel. Oh, this robot, it takes a human. It takes human
It's that
bodies.
be an expert killing machine. How did the
It's like
Terminator
it's like
survive?
it's like Little Shop of Horrors, except like right the Audrey too. It needs blood to survive, so the robot needs human. Like, all right, so what's the fuel? Like, what is it in the human body then that fuels it? Is it the skin, the organs,
Probably
or
all of it. I don't know.
what? Well,
Probably uses all I know what it does is it takes bits and pieces of whatever it's the
you
corpse
got to sign
is.
a waiver.
Well,
Yes, you can use
it's
my
no.
my
You're
blah
dead.
blah
So
person's
yeah.
body to give to
Not an
this
organ,
robot.
not an organ donor thing.
He
It
goes to the license branch. Would
it's
you like to donate your body to this robot?
it scans it scans what is this carbon-based material, whatever we're made up of. It scans organic matter like this, and then it takes it piece by piece, scans it, and then it uses it as fuel if it's able to be used as fuel. So it knows.
And
It
what's the
was
purpose of the robot?
it was supposed to be like the best warrior type thing. I mean, I still think at some point we're probably going to have Jedis. We're going to have like we did the Jedi Project. We talked about it many times before. I think advanced into the future, we're going to have ways where people are going to hit this new, like the ultimate frequency I've been talking about is like this way that you can kind of bend, you can get out of space and time by hitting a form of meditation. I look at that like that might sound like crazy horseshit, but it's possible, man. Like if you look at like monks, there's a video of a monk standing on 1 foot for 34 hours on a pole, and he was just eating glass. Like,
So, but wait a minute. So you're talking about super soldiers, except AI super soldiers. Are
yeah,
are, are these for the military?
no, I see. I think eventually at one point in the future, we're all just going to hit this next evolution. I feel like people are going to hit a next level evolution where their mind expands a little bit more, kind of like the movie Lucy, but not as insane. More like just small capabilities, like being able to transfer thoughts. You know, they're talking about that with the Neuralink right now. Is now you're not even going to be able to. You have to speak to people. You can just think it, and someone else can hear it, and then next thing you know, bam! You that's how you would communicate with the Neuralink. So it's not too far off. Like we're working so much on creating robotic enhancements for ourselves because of the fear that we might create an AI technology that would eventually exterminate us, knowing that we're not the better, the superior. But I don't think AI, if we create robots, I don't think it would be like Terminator. I think it would be, and I'm hoping it would be something that if we created an AI system that was smart enough and smarter than us and knew it was smarter than us, then it would look at us like an elderly grandparent or something, where it would be like, I want to make sure I can improve you. You've created me. Let me fix you. Hopefully that wouldn't go in the wrong way where they would just try and fix us in the wrong way by like killing us or putting us through horrible experimentation, but trying to find a way to perfect our systems and flaws that we have that we're not handling properly today. I would see that as a better system or a better AI unit being able to look at us like, You've created me. Now I'm going to take care of you. And then we talked about this last time,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think RoboCop, right? What about like a hybrid where a human is on the verge of
but
death?
it doesn't
And
end there. See, that's not just a movie. That's actual real. There are actual projects where we have taken and see, here's the weird part about what I don't like where technology is going is that there's always this obsession with bringing something back from the dead. Okay? Just like how WandaVision was. Same thing with we've had technology that we're still trying to work on where it's being able to keep you from death, but at the same time trying to bring you back when you've been dead for a while. And I
yeah,
think that is goes against human
but he
ethics a little
wasn't
bit.
dead. Like I said, he was on the verge of death, but they put him. It's kind of like Darth Vader, right? He's on the verge of death, and they put him in a robotic suit to keep him alive.
RoboCop?
Yeah,
Yeah, but see, when you get like that and they replace all those things and they do all that, but you notice how he was still being controlled by something else? They don't just stop there. Like the same thing with Vision when Vision's body was dead. Spoiler alert for people listening. Um, you can't bury 3 billion of adamantium or whatever it is, vibranium, whatever, in the ground. You can't do that.
the guy did have a good point. You
It's
can't do that.
it's the same thing. It's like when you have it goes back to the movie Repo Man. You ever see that movie before?
Oh goodness.
People would lose something or somebody would lose something and the government would give you a biomechanical one and then you would have to make payments on it, and if you didn't make payments on the proper time they would come and take it back from you. So this guy would literally go to this dude's house, this dude's playing music, dude would knock him out and then take back his liver, and it was the one that he was supposed to be paying for or doing this rent type thing. You'd always have to make payments on it. I believe eventually that's going to get to a certain point. You know how difficult it's going to be when they're like right now they're able to cut a square uh block whatever out of the back of your head like a plate, like a flap to a robot or something, pull it down, see your brain, and insert something in there, and then flip it back open and screw it back in. They're going to get to a point where they can just take your skull and make a stronger skull by adding plates into it or making a one that's made out of plates. They've talked about that before. This all came to me when I was talking or not talking to, I was listening to a podcast with a neuropsychologist, and he was talking about all these advancements that they're doing with the human body and all these things. And actually, like people say, like if you're stressed, it's going to make you sicker. Not true. Actually, you need stress to keep your immune system strong because much like back in the day when you were foraging for survival, when your body was on alert, actually you get more sick when you're not stressed. When you go and relieve and you go home and have a me day or whatever that is, because you start to notice, man, I feel like shit. It's because your immune system is understanding we're not in a state of danger or we're not in a state of awareness, so we can lower everything down, our defenses, and next thing you know, that viable for you to get sick faster. So actually, when you have a little bit of stress, it keeps your immune system on hype. But man, it's our bodies are so fascinating. It just astounds me how people are like, we need to perfect this, we need to perfect that. I'm like, I don't even think we understand it fully. Like I think in the next 50, 60 years, there's going to be psychic abilities more common, not just like ghost type stuff, but like people are going to be able to send or transmit thoughts without technology. I feel like we're always constantly evolving, but I feel like we're going to get to a higher point and it's going to keep going further. But I feel like there's that barrier where it's going to shift into something. I mean, I don't know.
So we'll all get inputted with chips or whatever. So you're telling me instead of me texting you, I'll just be able to send you a
No, no,
message through the signal through my brain.
that's the way society's going right now with technology, was we're being able to put stuff inside of us easier. But I'm saying we're not going to need that. I feel like we're hitting a point of evolutions coming up soon. Like there's man-made evolution. So there's like if you
Wait,
take
wait,
a
wait, wait. So are you saying we're going to hybrid into machines?
it's not what I'm saying. That's the idea of what they want to do, though. That is what they want to do, is that they're trying to perfect the a perfect human, I would say. It's why
Well,
all
that's
these
what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
maybe we're 5% AI,
Well, okay, so
95% human.
here's the thing. If you do a task by yourself, it feels great, right? And you finish it, it feels amazing because you did it by yourself. Let's say you built a yard or something. But if I gave you the help of a bunch of things that would, like, instead of cutting your grass with a push mower, you're cutting your grass with a riding mower. It's gonna, yeah, you still did it, but you don't get the same satisfaction as if you push your. So reaching a next form of evolution can be done naturally, but at the same time, we're speeding it up with robotics. That's the whole point of robotics enhancements, is trying to perfect the best human. But to do that, we're basically using something like a jetpack to get us there faster. And I'm like, maybe we should wait for the time to be right because I don't see, something that's created by man doesn't always typically go well. And having something like that speed you up too fast is a reason why there's an evolution process. It's not just you go from this to this. It's not just from A to B. There's a bunch of other steps in between that you have to go through. And I feel like that's what the evolution process. But man's trying to force evolution to perfect the perfect species by trying to insert themselves with robotics, where I'm like, I feel like in 50, 60 years, we'll probably get there eventually.
So what you're saying is take a deep breath and slow down. Let us evolve naturally, like what some people believe monkey to man, right? That
I, I
naturally
see the
happens.
benefit of inserting a neural link into your head, but I don't think we should be doing that. I think the way we hope
You see
for
a bet. Wait a minute. You can't even get people to 100% wear masks or take a COVID vaccine. You mean to tell me
because there's no
you're
incentive. There's no
everybody's gonna
incentive.
let people put a chip in their head? I wouldn't let
There's
anybody touch me.
there's no incentive to that is what I'm saying is if I can remember how I explained the cell phone to you and I told you two ways I could explain the cell phone to you and one sounds horrible and one sounds awesome.
Well, in hindsight, you can explain anything in hindsight and it
Exactly.
sounds
That's how they do it when anything gets released that's new, especially when you see it on news. It usually gets hyped up way more than it actually is without all the other stuff that gets included into it. Such as like if we take the Neuralink, for instance, if I tell people that they're going to be able to get a device installed into their head where they'll be able to communicate, search internet, be able to do all these amazing functions without the use of their cell phone, they can literally toss out their cell phone, not have to worry about a payment plan for their phone anymore, not have to worry about the bills that come with your phone. You're gonna be like, "Oh my god, that sounds awesome." And then, wait, so I could be able to speak any language without even having to learn it? It's like, yeah, Neuralink will do that all for you. And
okay.
actually,
At what cost? Okay, you throw your cell phone away, but then the government's probably controlling you.
okay, you're of that population, that minority population, much like myself, that's going to ask those questions. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Fuck it, throw it to my head." I know a bunch of people where I've explained the situation to, and they're like, "Fuck it, throw it in me." Here's the thing though. If they have a payment plan on a cell phone, they're going to have a network or bandwidth thing on your Neuralink. So,
Absolutely.
me and you are the minority in thinking that, though. A lot of people just want to get that put in their head because you see the process of getting somewhere or getting to something is out of the norm for a lot of the world now. A lot of times people just wants that instant gratification and getting a Neuralink in your head to cut speech learning classes or doing all these other things cuts 10, 15 years of trying to learn a whole nother language or however long it takes faster than Rosetta Stone into your fucking head, man. Neuralink, that's the idea is
It's
that we're
like
trying.
cheating.
Yeah, but it's forcing evolution trying to perfect something, and I just don't think we should be
I
doing
see
that.
what you're
Yeah.
getting. It means much, much more to learn that language, like the old fashioned way to actually, it's more rewarding than to just put a chip in and you just like, dude, and then you can speak
Well, also, you
French,
can't
right?
rush things as much, man. Like if you look at like somebody one day is going to be able to take a EMP device and able to walk past you and it can turn on your Neuralink and have it fry inside of your head.
That's right.
Then
That's
next thing
right.
you know, your brain's fried and things of
Yep.
that sort. It's the same thing with those hollow tip or whatever bullets. When they enter skin, the burning of the bullet, like the movie Boss Level, the guy was like, I was once shot in the mouth. And the guy's like, how are you shot in the mouth? You don't have a scar on you. You might be drinking too much. And dude didn't know he could keep dying coming back. Well, he was like, I remember I got shot in the mouth and what I smelled was a nice ribeye steak. And the guy's like, what? And he goes, and you know what I realized that ribeye steak smell was? And the guy's like, what? He goes, it was the bullet burning my tongue. I was literally smelling my own tongue. And it was like this aspect of like, imagine that. Neuralinks in your head, it explodes like a battery going off. You heard all those all the time. People being in a movie theater, phone blows up on the side of their head from their battery overheating or something, vapes exploding, whatever. Neuralink exploding, it's inside your fucking brain, man. It's not going to hit a level of like, you're going to be okay, you're going to survive. And it's like, we're so still figuring out things about the human body that I feel like, we talked about nutrition wise. There are things in your nutrition that you can look at that could actually fix depression. A giant causation that they're finding in depression and such other mental disorders are happen to link with carbs, happen to link with very, very gluttony foods, very, very inflammatory foods. A scientist I was telling you about before, Mark Gordon, he has this benefit in doing these research studies on people that come back from war. that are largely experienced from PTSD and severe trauma. A dude had an IED blow up under his Hummer and explode everything below the torso. So lost his legs, his dick, everything. So they found ways to re-regulate his testosterone, find ways to handle his depression by looking at his diet and focusing on basic nutritional functions, such as cutting out certain things that would cause his inflammatory system to rise up. Because it turns out a lot of the reason why you're depressed, a lot of the reason why people are angry a lot of times is because they don't technically feel good about themselves. And when that all boils down to nutrition, if I give you 10 donuts, you're going to feel like, yeah, you're gonna be like, hell yeah, I'll take 10 donuts, Glaze. Load me up with them bad boys. Then after you get done eating them, you don't feel fucking good. And when you don't feel good with yourself, you tend to push that frustration out on other people, which causes you to be more ramped up when you go out into the world. And that's why I think a lot of people, eating fast food all the time, eventually you start to feel like shit. That's why there's this big push for understanding the nutrition and the diet. But no one really understands the nutrition of what sustains your body. There are probably certain foods out there, certain functions, certain things in your dietary that should be included, such B vitamins, D vitamins, whatever you need to help with your immune system, help with things that aren't just physical. And I've kind of learned to understand this a little bit more after talking with people with invisible illnesses, such as not just depression, but like things of like endometrix or endometriosis, whatever it's called, where you're suffering on the inside, but people can't see it. Because the thing is, trying to get someone to see something at isn't seeable, is inside, only that person can feel. The weirdest thing, like when we do depression tests, at least for the longest time, was just a person's perspective of, oh, you suffer from depression. It was a simple like perspective. Oh, this person looks like they have depression. Now it has significant tests and being able to understand what the actual root causation is. This is why, like, as much as I have problems with the medical industry, I'm still supporting it on the aspect of they're getting better with things. But I still think we're jumping to conclusions and trying to force things way too fast when we barely understand the basic functions of certain things. Our brain is still largely misunderstood, barely understandable. Why can things relate certain things into certain memories, such correlations? Why are things develop personality traits, certain genetic codes, all these types of things? But we want to shove a Neuralink into our fucking head to be able to do a bunch of things that our brain might be capable of doing.
Oh boy.
I ranted. I'm sorry. I've
I don't
been
even know how
deep
to
thinking.
respond.
I've
I don't even know
been
how to respond.
I've been really deep thinking and trying to focus, because I've been listening to some Jordan Peterson. I've been listening to some Ben Shapiro. And as much as people don't like some of these people, because not that they're
Did you
not,
watch the Ben Shapiro interview with Gina Carano then? Because I watched that.
I didn't see that.
So check that out
Is it
if you've been watching some Ben
good or
Shapiro.
bad?
It's good because it actually gives Gina Carano's side of the story and coming from the source,
Yeah.
right? Not coming from social media or Disney or Lucasfilm. This
Well,
is
the reason why people have problems with Jordan Peterson, I watched a panel with him of Q&A in Australia. And let me tell you, this is where I get pissed off at feminists. And it's not just because it's not what they're fighting for. It's the people that are the face of feminism. When somebody says, when I say feminist, what do you think?
What do I think?
Do you get scared?
No. No. I think everybody has a I don't I mean, look,
Be
right.
honest here.
I am. So women, like I said, women feel they've always felt oppressed, right? They weren't able to vote. They weren't able to do this. So like and now in more recent time, like especially this year, there's been like the Me Too, the women's movement, this and that. But honestly, like I think women have been in power for many, many, many years. And it, can you say that women have the same rights as guys? I think they do, but then you could be in a situation where they don't, and that's the individual. Like once again, I think it's about educating people and educating individuals to open themselves up to different kind of people. And it's just not women. It's
Okay.
just it's different
You're
backgrounds and
you're
ethnic backgrounds.
you're
And
dodging my question here. What I'm
I'm
asking is, when I say the word feminist, what comes to my mind is what we've now turned into what a Karen is. Most of the majority, when someone says a feminist, they think of someone that is kind of very argumentative, very I would say, and they would use that against me to be like argumentative. You mean like doing what you want
girl
because you're,
power.
yeah, that's not bad. But the aspect of, like, I was watching this Q&A, and Jordan Peterson is a very, very, very smart psychiatrist, and just he's very intelligent. But a lot of the stuff, it does make some sense, but a lot of the stuff he talks about, he's got very strong points that don't go with the culture and society's words today. But when he was talking, this woman that was talking about feminism and all these things and being 100% for the movement was cutting him off every time he was saying something, even though he was letting her talk. Kept making jabs and kept making comments, and it's that type that I don't like. The one where you get into it, you think what, and they'll just cut you off and act like they know better than you, and act like you're inferior, and act like they know all and all this. I understand it from the perspective that they're getting to, but that is that's the issue. When all of these people like Ben Shapiro, when Jordan Peterson, anybody, when they say something and it is against what society is telling you, that's the issue, is that there's not this and this, and they're telling you how that's bullshit. It causes frustration. And a lot of people don't want to sit and listen. A lot of people just want to cut the person off and tell them shut up and do all these things. I'm not pro that. And that's the idea of what feminism in my head has implanted, is that not just about supporting women. I'm a pro for that. I think women should do whatever. I think everybody should do whatever the hell they want, as long as it's not hurting anybody.
Everybody should do what they
Yeah.
want to do.
But the issue was when the people that were supporting that were people that were telling men that they are inferior and making them feel like shit. And when a guy on this Q&A panel was saying that, he was like, I, as a father of 3, I'm afraid for my 3 boys when they go to school and what the world they're growing up in, because everything is telling them that they should be ashamed to be a man. And I'm like, man, a lot of society today is telling you that men are bad, or white men and all this type of stuff is bad. And then she was like, no, but nobody in society is doing that. Nobody in society is doing it. He's like, yeah, I've let you talk. You let me talk. And he just goes, yeah, I feel like, I'm a little bit afraid. And then she just kept cutting him off and going into it and just kept everything. And I'm like, you just see Jordan Peterson laughing and like psychologically taking her down. Like, dude, like, what is, you just,
Yeah, but
someone hurt you.
you can do that with anything. You can do that with religion, right? You can get one of those overbearing religious
That's my point.
people,
Thank you.
right? That think you are the devil because you don't believe in God.
That's
And
my
that's not
point.
I'm not a bad person if I don't believe in God.
Exactly. But see, they don't think that. They think you are. So
Exactly.
that's my point. When I don't have an issue with feminists, I have an issue with that idea that somebody can think they know more than somebody else. Yes, you may have, from someone that's talked to plenty of people with PhDs. Yes, you may have a PhD. Does not make you smarter than me. You know more in that one specific topic than I do, but I can know a billion other things that you might not. That's the thing, though, is when I've talked to plenty of people with PhDs. There, it's like, you can't even have, like, you don't even have common sense, but you know a lot about
Well,
fucking
that's but
forest
that's the
badger
thing.
fucking, like,
Dude, I have a high school diploma. I never went to college. So am I dumb? Am I
no.
stupid?
But see,
Like,
that's the idea that's the idea I don't like, is that the fact that there's people out there that think they're better because they might have a higher education or higher level of intelligence or a higher vision of a certain specification or a certain class of education. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't make you better. It's the same thing with the religion thing. Saying that somebody's wrong because they don't believe in your religion, saying you're the only one. It's like, as much as we don't know about the human mind, as much as we don't know about anything in the world, nothing is 100% fact. Then we should be trying our hardest to be open to all interpretations of what that is and not just classify it down to one. That's my main point here, is
but
just
not
like,
everybody is open and their minds are open. A lot of people are narrow minded and they
that's
only
the issue.
see their view and they won't open themselves up to any other perspectives or point of views. So
That's
that's
that's what I'm saying, is that that's why we shouldn't be shoving technology into our head, because you can't even open up the mind enough to be able, like, yeah, you can open it up physically, but can you open it up enough to be able to explore that? I mean, it's just gonna, I feel like the Neuralink's just gonna, having that vast amount of information in the back of your head, and yeah, you might be able to turn it off, it might be indestructible, whatever it is. There are going to be issues with that come arise with it. And I just feel like we shouldn't be trying to force evolution. I think some things should be, I feel like in the future we're going to progress to a point where, you know, if you have mind powers, being able to read somebody's mind through a neurochip is different than if you physically can do that. your body naturally does that. If you're able to understand people's emotions and feelings, have a bigger sense of empathy without the use of a neurochip, you're going to understand it a hell of a lot more than a machine doing it for you. It's the same thing, if I wrote you a letter, is different from a text. When I gave you a Christmas card, and I tried my fucking hardest to get you a Star Wars one, but I didn't find
I got it in the mail. It didn't get lost.
it got lost for a while. Fucking FedEx. But when if I would have given you like a text, Merry Christmas, you still would have felt the love, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
have been as much as the card. You know what I mean? It's that thing is that there's things we're using in life to make it easier and make it better. And I feel like it's not really making it better in the main point it's trying to make. Giving a card, saying I love you or happy birthday to someone over a text is different from saying happy birthday in person.
Yeah.
It's and I really came to this conclusion recently because my grandmom had passed away.
Yeah.
So I have a voicemail on my phone. I don't even know if I should play it, but what do you call it? It's a voicemail from my grandmom. She called me a couple of years ago, back when she could actually do a full sentence before the COPD like really got to her. And it was like on my birthday saying, "Hey, happy birthday, love you," all these types of things. And it's just so fucking heartbreaking because like that's all I got left of her now. You know what I mean? But like I can get this to fucking play. Hold on.
Wow, breaking the golden
Well,
rule.
happy birthday, sweetheart. I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you.
So I did call her back right afterwards, but I love that I have that recording because I think the biggest fear for me was like the way we're one day I'm probably not going to remember what her laugh was. One day I'm not going to remember certain things that I cherishing the memories and stuff like that. But it's also about the importance of like what we're cutting out in life to make it easier is actually destroying things that we essentially need. And that comes down to the basis of fact of like communication with people, or that even comes down to certain task is turning off a fucking light switch. It might be easier to snap your fingers or to be able to do something and have the whole thing go down. But that whole aspect of there are certain functions or certain things, and there's a reason why there are those steps to get there. There are a reason why there's this and that, because if you try and shortcut it, life has no shortcuts. But we're doing that essentially with technology. We're making our lives 1,000 times easier, but it's also destroying our own decadence. We're living in this time where there's instant gratification. Those are side effects of things when everything you have is instant. And I think, people are boycotting Amazon right now, but people are still going to use Amazon. The aspect of like they're doing it over warehouse workers in Alabama, the conditions, they're on strike or something like that. Well, eventually they're going to be like they're not going to bend to your will because you're not holding the lever anymore. You're not holding the thing in your hand. You're not holding what they need because they're like, we can just get machines to do your fucking job for you.
Yeah, well, first off, man, like I mean, I know we've talked privately, but like, yes, my condolences
I
over
don't
to
even
you.
know if I'm gonna post this episode. I shouldn't have posted. That was personal.
My love over to you.
Thank you.
That took some guts, and once again, man, like I said, I told you, yeah, you brought up cherish your memories and your thoughts, and honestly, dude, I'm jealous, right? I'm actually a little jealous because you have a voicemail. I told you I lost my grandmother, my dad's mom. That's who I was really close with when I was 9. So I built a really close relationship with my grandmother when I was a child, and we both lived in the same house, and she lived upstairs and I lived downstairs, and I used to go upstairs and visit her almost every single night. It's like all I remember, like when I was 6, 7, or 8 years old, going upstairs, hanging out with my grandma, and she always make me tea. Like I said, I drink tea. I told you, I said that's where my tea drinking comes from. She made me hot tea, and she always made me toast, and that's what I remember. Those are my memories of my grandmother. Like she passed away when I was 9, so yeah, I don't remember what she sounds like. I don't remember her voice. I don't remember her laugh. I don't remember, like, I know nothing. So but like I said, what you know I love is, I have those memories of her, just spending time with her, talking with her, hers taking time to, you know talk to her grandson for hours and hours, year after year after year, making me tea and making me toast. And I'll tell you what, it's funny. Like my mom, she after my grandmother passed away, she bought the same bread, same butter, same everything, and the toast still never tasted the same. Or the tea. My grandmother used to make me tea in like her own way. I don't use cream or milk anymore, but she used to put milk and cream in my tea, and I've never had tea or toast the same way ever again since my grandmother. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a prime importance because it's really hard with everything that's progressing so fast to be able to understand those types of things that you're kind of missing out on. But it's something in the future where I start to question. I've been thinking a lot deep recently, like trying to find this, like how far can my brain go without it hurting? Like how can I get
Dude,
somewhere and
you
understand
have been
more?
put through the ringer the past year. You have had so many people pass away. It's like insane. So
Yeah.
my heart, dude, goes out to you, my
I had a
friend.
buddy of mine message me and he says, "People die around you." And I'm like, "Yeah, fucking stay away, I guess then." Geez, that hit me kind of in the wrong way. But it
I'm
was
just
like,
saying, I haven't known any that, you just had a lot, you've had a lot of like death trauma in your life in the past year.
well, it's probably why my hair's going white. So I mean, it's fine. It's cool. Stress, probably. I don't know what I get it, all that stuff. I had someone ask me, like the hairdresser was like, "Your hair's going white." And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm not even stressed." And she's like, "I think you are stressed. You're just not understanding what
That's
that stress level is."
hereditary. I knew a guy who was like in his 20s and his hair was like
Nobody in
balding and
my
white.
family has white hair except my grandpa, who deserves it because he's like 80. But, it is a factor of, like, I think that's the biggest highlight right there is sometimes people are stressed, they don't even know they're stressed, and they can't even find it because there's just it's so deep below the surface, you know? You don't really know you have an issue with things until you start talking about them. Like, it's this
Yeah.
this aspect of stuff. It goes deeper than you think. And I'm like, I feel like as much as we don't understand about ourselves, people are trying to understand other people when they don't even know who they are. And then without even knowing who they are, they're trying to fix people and trying to fix things. And it's like, yeah, you can give better insight into other people's lives because you're giving from an outside perspective. But man, to say one thing is a final answer to anything is the dumbest thing in the fucking world to me. And I just look at it like there's just so much out there that I am so fascinated with that I know that in my lifetime, I'll never be able to even scratch the surface of the amount of information out there. And it's crazy to see like perspectives of back in the day and things that we're still doing today. Like I can see it all. And it's like, not just me, people can do it too if they just opened up a little bit and tried to look at everything instead of trying to label everything like, oh, that's so wrong. Instead of looking at something like, wow, that's horrible. Be like, I'm glad I can feel that that's wrong now and it's better now. You know what I mean? It's like this whole aspect everybody's complaining about cancel culture, Dr. Seuss books, all these types of things. I'm like,
Yeah, so stupid. Well, but that's the great thing about the situation you're in and your show is you talk to so many different kinds of people and you get so many different perspectives and you get a lot of advice. And just like some of my advice I gave you with your grandma passing away, just real and like I said, it's just one little thing, but just think about all the good stuff, man. Cherish all the good memories. Um and just try that dude, it's not gonna help 100. That's not gonna. I mean, she's passed, and it's not gonna help. But like, it's just it's a coping thing. And dude, you're never gonna get over it, ever. I don't care
probably not.
what. Hey, Robbie, it just takes some time. No, I lost a child, right? You know this. I lost a child. I lost my grandmother. I like I said, I think that's worse. That's the worst thing ever is to lose a child. So you never get over it. Like there's no coping situation that time is for me. It's been 21 years, okay, and I'm still not over. Like no, you don't get over stuff like that.
That's
So
that's where I love technologies to be able to fix something like that. Like if a kid's like trying about to be born and something goes wrong and it doesn't make it, then being able to save it. I think that's 100% what we should be using it for. But I just know people. I know that's the idea of where it starts, but it never stops there. It always goes a little bit farther. Being able to like we
Well,
talked about it
like you
before.
said, then you're fixing but then you're fixing like everything, right?
Yeah,
You're fixing
you're choosing
everything.
what you want your baby to look like with CRISPR and stuff like that, like we talked about before. But
Yeah.
there's this still ominous theory of trying to bring things back from the dead. You know, we have pacemakers to stop you from dying. You know, being able to help out in a situation when your heart stops, be able to kick your heart back on. Yeah, that's good. But then now they're looking at things of like trying to bring people back that might be dead for a couple of days, might be this. And it's like, how do you get the brain to restart? How do you get that? Like it doesn't go well, but it's been a fascination throughout humankind because the overall idea is trying to live on forever. And I think now the idea
The
of living on,
freezing, right? People want to freeze.
we found out Walt Disney's not frozen from that one
Well,
episode.
yeah, exactly. No, exactly. But it's true, right? They're trying to figure out the freezing technology where you can freeze yourself, preserve yourself, and then I guess come back in the future.
Would you
Which
want to be frozen and then
no,
brought into the future?
no,
Man, I would like that, I think.
no.
If I just wake up and I'm like, what happened? It's like you're 1,000 years into the future. You're like, oh
Exactly.
my God.
I've missed 100 Star Wars movies.
What are we at now? Sharknado 10,000? Guy
Back
goes,
to
no,
the Future reboot, number 15.
we're at 6,000. Dick just walks out the door. It's like, well, hang on a second, give me functions to live. But it's like
You'd
that
be such a fish out of water. Think
that'd be
about
so
it. Like
scary to me.
if you got frozen and you came back 50, 100 years from now, you would literally, it would be Austin, like, not to make it funny, but it would be Austin Powers. I mean, dude, you would have no idea what to do. You talk about PST. You would have no clue what to do with yourself. It's stupid. uh, Captain America, same thing, right? He was gone and he came back in modern time, and you just don't know what to do with yourself. All your loved ones are dead. The woman you fell in love with, she's like 90 something years old. She passes away, and you don't know what to do with yourself. And you got to relearn life. That's actually a little scary if you think about
It's
it.
kind of like Dr. Manhattan when everyone else aged around him and then they tried to blame him as causing cancer when they were literally poisoning the people and giving them cancer. And he
Yeah.
had this whole like, because he couldn't feel emotions. So then eventually he had to like come to grips with some emotion or try and find what that human self of his was, you know, that got lost.
I don't know, man. Like I said, who knows what the hell happens after we die? Maybe we come back and we just don't remember
Would you want to be a
this
super
life.
soldier if you could be a super soldier?
No. Uh-uh.
No?
I once again I don't think I would let anybody touch insert I'm I told you it's kind of like me and like social media. I'm private. I the COVID vaccine. No, get that shit away from me. I don't take flu vaccines. I'm not gonna take a COVID vaccine. I
At least
no,
somebody is with me on that. I mean, I'm not
no,
saying I'm just gonna give it some time. That's all I'm fucking
no.
saying.
Yes, like please, because vaccines aren't made in months. They're made in years.
And it's
So
funny, they're like, take anyone now. They're just telling you, take anyone that's out there. They don't care. Like, it's like when a doctor prescribes a pill, he's just like, open your mouth up. I'm going to toss some pills at you and see what sticks. That's the dosage. It's like, now they're like, before they're telling you specifically, take this one. Now they're like, oh, just take anyone you possibly can. And then there was that article about wearing double masks. And I'm like, oh my
yes, like
God.
now
It's like
that's the big thing.
it's
The
wearing two
double
condoms.
mask.
It's wearing two condoms. It's literally like, I don't want to have a kid, so I'm gonna be double safe and wear two condoms. But I don't want to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't like I said, I don't get it, man. I just want things to go back to normal. And things are slowly was it Alabama, Texas, they might be getting rid of the mask
They're doing it in
requirements.
March 15th, but then
Okay.
everyone's shitting on that guy. He's like, you piece of shit. And even people living there, like, you suck. And then some people are like, I don't give it. It's like, oh, you know, you are picking your state, right? So, like, if you just want to move to a different state, you can. I mean, it's going to suck. You're going to pack up and leave everything, but it's also the same idea of like, people choose the state they want to live in because of the things that are going on there, the rules that are there. Every state has different rules. I think people think that there's obviously the rules that cover the globe, cover at least our United States, but there are rules in your community that are different than rules in freaking. I learned that best when that one woman from New Jersey was like, I don't know how to pump my own gas. I'm like, you're 40 something years old. You don't know how to pump your own gas. She's like, it's illegal to pump your own gas in New Jersey. Same thing with, I think, Oregon, it's illegal to pump your own gas. I don't know why. I think it's because of like I honestly just don't know. But
So they
everywhere
have
else,
attendants that come out and just do it
yeah,
for you every time.
yeah. So they don't even, yeah. That's not a they have
Oh,
a,
like back in the day, they used to do that back when I was a child.
yeah.
They did that. The
But
attendants came out, checked your oil,
that's
filled
why
the
I was like,
gas.
where are you
Yeah.
from? Like, what time period are you from? Or you don't pump your own gas? But it was like, yeah, that's some states' rules is that they have it like that. And it's like, you choose where you live. If you don't like what's going on in your state, you have so many
Uh,
problems with it.
you
Why are you
can use
going to?
the you can use the marijuana argument, right? So like marijuana is legal in certain states. Now look, I live in Indiana. I'm going to be one of the last states that it becomes legal, and I hate that. I'm one of those people. I think you legalize it across the board, let the government tax it, make all their money on. Dude, get all those people out of prison and jail
I'm
over some
not a,
fucking weed.
you
I
know, that's
mean,
the funny thing too, is when I was talking about the stress and the immune responses with things, like how stress actually helps out your immune system.
yeah.
They think that's part and parcel of what goes with how a lot of these inmates weren't getting coronavirus because they're under stressful conditions. So they kept their immune system high up. So that's actually a theory that's going out there now. And also, you were saying about, damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
I was talking about weed being legal.
Yeah. So I found my grandma's edible.
You told me this.
Bro,
Yes.
holy shit. I was editing a podcast and the person happened to be from Beijing. So imagine doing that while high. I listened to that the next day and I was like, thank God, because I thought I was heading into a podcast episode that was going to be like me beatboxing for a half hour. Because I swear to God, it's what I was doing while I was
Can you beatbox?
I
I'm gonna
can,
put you on the spot. Can you?
yeah, I can, I guess.
All right, come on. Let's have a B box off.
I'm not doing this on my show. We can do that on
Come on.
Sick Talker, sure. What do you?
No. Come on, B box.
No, you
Come on.
beatbox. I'll listen to you beatbox. See, that's why I don't beatbox because the mic cuts out after you do the first noise.
Yeah, drop some bass. Boom, 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 boom.
If YouTube flags me for this, I'm be like, what fucking song is this?
I just made it up.
It's probably already created. Everything people make up nowadays is created. I listened to that. I really got into beatboxing a while ago. Like when I was like junior year of high school, there was a guy, it's a video. I'll give him a shout out. Hey Moonshaker is the dude. He's in UK and he's just beatboxing on the street, but he does these dubstep noises where it's like, and he just does this like, it sounds so freaking good, man. Where I was like, damn, like that sounds exactly like dubstep. And he does the whoop, 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 and he does that whole noise. I'm
See,
like,
that's cool.
sounds good, but it sounds
That's awesome.
it's easy to do when you have a microphone pressed against your face like this. You're talking like this.
You're like Batman, old Batman.
I want to see. I would love to go back in time, and I would love to be around, like in like the maybe not the Depression era, but back when it was okay to get a milkshake at a diner.
Oh, like the
That's
50s.
that's my big heaven. I think is like going back to like
The 50s.
yeah, but like classic metal diner. You walk in, you sit up at the little bar.
Like
and
Johnny Rockets. Have you ever ate at a Johnny Rockets?
what the fuck is? Sounds like a porno.
So
You
it's
said
like
rubber wrestler, and that sounded like a porno too.
everybody old school knows what a rubber wrestler is. If you're in the wrestling, you'll know what it is. If you're
Rub,
old school like
rub,
me.
rub,
Anyway.
rub your wrestler.
Johnny Rockets is it's just a restaurant, but it's set up just like an old 1950s like restaurant, and you get like classic milkshakes, and and you go into the restaurant, it looks like you're 1950. It's cool.
I like that. I like that.
Jukebox, old, classic jukebox.
It was
all that
weird
stuff.
because if you watch WandaVision, the commercials, like you got to see them evolve and how crazy and wacky and
Yeah.
different they were getting. But it was like, man, like when I was watching the first episode and they had those, like whatever the year was, the 60s.
Like the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like,
God. When they were
awesome.
playing that commercial, I was like, dude, how is this being played right now? There are so many people probably tighten buttholes, all pissed off and stuff. But I was like, it shows how much we've evolved in it too. And I think they did it pretty well. But yeah, I wouldn't like that era of it. Just because so much of the stuff where the woman's like, I'm going to be a housewife because that's what we do. I was like, that's such, to me, that pissed me off. I was like, all right, I get why the feminists are pissed because this shit's going on. But at the same time, it's like, I just want to be in the era where there was like nothing to super worry about. The biggest fear was a nuclear threat, and that was like people are just buying bomb shelters and shit like that. And I'm like, that to me is way better than worrying about some person tweeting at you, Instagram commenting at you, and all these types
Well,
of
but
things
that
that have
was
been
back
let
in the
in.
50s or 60s.
Yeah.
I read the Russians. It was like a nuclear threat, I do believe, right?
Yeah, Cold War.
I think my parents they used to like have to go under their desks and hide, or my
Cold
grandparents
War,
used to.
bro. Look, kids used to go under their desks in school in fear of a nuclear threat. Now kids go under their desk in fear that someone's going to come into their school and shoot them.
Yeah, so different because it wasn't like that. Even when when I went to school,
The
so
problem
in
has just
mass.
evolved.
Well, it's different, right? Because it depends on what location you live at. So I grew up in Massachusetts. We had hurricane drills and obviously fire drills, but like I have never done a tornado drill ever until I moved to Indiana. I did hurricane drills. So when I moved to Indy and we did tornado drills, that was completely new to me. And I've actually have been through tornadoes. The apartments I lived in got hit by tornadoes. If I opened my front door, there was a convenience store there. The tornado completely wiped it out. I'm talking
Was that
wiped it out.
scary? Because I've only been
Yeah.
in
Yes, it was scary.
so okay, have you ever been in an earthquake?
No, just a tornado.
Okay, so what was the tornado experience like? Walk me through it.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I was at work, and obviously the tornado hit in my area, so I had to drive home from work, north side, north side to like whatever, it doesn't matter location wise. Everybody's listening, but like, so it takes me 45 minutes to drive home. It took me about 3 hours to get home because of the traffic. And then when I got to my apartment complex, it was blocked off and they wouldn't even let me in like the area. And I'm like, hey, I live here. Like I have to get in here. So I finally was able to get home. So when I got closer and closer and closer, so that we had apartment complexes diagonal from us, they had roofs ripped off of their buildings, completely ripped off. Debris everywhere. I told you this convenience store that was right across the street. I'm talking if I took 20, 30 steps, I was at this convenience store, demolished, completely gone, just in a pile of rubble. My apartment complex, it had roof damage, trees were like down and this and that. So I had to like drive home in this and just I was freaked out. I mean, like my kid, but everybody was good. My wife, my kids were fine. My buddy lived in the apartments right down the road from me. Ross, he lived right next to me. And so we went over to visit him, and his apartments were affected by it. But like we had no electricity, no nothing, no power for like a week. It was insane. You're talking about going about candles and prehistoric times. Yeah, we had candles, no power, no nothing for a whole week.
It's not that long ago. Why I say prehistoric? It was like 60 years ago people were doing that.
Yeah, so like I said, that I think that was early 2000s that happened. Mid 2000s that tornado hit. And like I said, there's tornadoes have hit here all the time, but never to that extent of how close it was for me. Like that really impacted my living and my life. Now, I didn't have to move out of my apartment. They fixed the roofs and everything. So it didn't affect me living, but I didn't have power for about a week or so. That was terrible.
I think you helped me find what I want to do with my life. I want to be a weather reporter. Because I was hearing that. I was like, imagine a fucking wind vortex coming from the sky that fucking eats people. You know how many people I could get to evacuate by saying it in that way? Like just a giant tornado is coming to your town. If that doesn't scare you, imagine a giant wind cycle that's going to suck people up into the sky where you'll never see your grandma again.
I tell you this now, granted, I've been through many, many tornado drills and they come on the TVs and the noises and they're just like, get in your bath because like they tell you to get in your bathroom, get in your bathtub.
The fuck is your bathtub going to do for you?
You got to get in a room and there's no windows. That's the point.
I have a window in my bathroom.
Well, then that do not want to.
Then you don't. Where do I go then? Do I just lay on the floor?
You don't have tornadoes where you. I guess that's my point.
That's the only benefit to having a cat is you get to see your cat spread eagle in the fucking doorway, and you know you're about to be fucked over pretty hard.
Well, my point is, after I went through that that situation and it affected my life, every time there's a tornado drill, you bet your ass I'm taking precautions. Like that was really scary. So,
Yeah.
and it could have been a lot worse.
I've never had a hurricane, never been in a tornado, never been in. I mean, I live in a beach town, so anytime we do get a warning of that sort, we usually just get a lot of rain and heavy winds. I
You're in the
know,
hurricane side of things, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
like I was in Mass.
Ocean City is like this weird spot that's so close to the water where everything gets drifted out into the ocean. Because what a hurricane or it's either a hurricane or tornado. This is like the same shit with alligators and crocodiles. There's a distinct difference between them. One goes out into the water and is attracted to a large. They're basically just looking for the water, so it helps keep it moving because they're basically made of moisture. So that's why we never get hit or we never get to see a full on like giant hurricane or tornado or anything because everything gets drifted out into the sea. But I've been in hail. I've been hit next. I've been right where lightning has hit a couple of times, and that's
Ooh.
scary as shit. Mostly because it's very, very fucking loud. It's like if you get in your car and someone cranked up your volume to 100 and you grab your ears real quick. It's just so earth shakingly scary. I was playing Mortal Kombat on a camping trip, and I was at an actual arcade at the campground, like underground, like old school Mortal Kombat. Well, you had to go
Yeah.
into like near, like kind of towards the basement, not in a rapey vibe, but like under the store. Because I say basement, you're thinking, where the fuck are you playing at an arcade? But I was playing Mortal Kombat on one of the old arcade machines. They had a ping pong table behind me and everything, and I just heard this loud like crack. I mean, a loud like snap. I mean, so much that literally like it threw me off the chair where I was like, I was on the ground, I thought someone shot a gun in my ear. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was lightning had hit the tree that was out front of the arcade place. And then I fucking ran home, told my dad. And then I had at my grandparents' house in Delaware, uh, they where my bedroom was, the tree got struck by lightning and split in half. And that was fucking scary as shit,
Holy
man.
shit.
Lights went out, everything flick. I was watching Scrubs and freaking lights went out. I was like, damn, what happened to my channel? No, but I freaked out, man, because it was so fucking loud. And we come out and this tree is literally on fire, just split in half, light on fire. And it's just like clear cut too. And it was like, fuck. It was like, it just
Crazy.
shows you. Like, I heard a story about a dude that got hit by lightning, I think 20 times. And it was only, he was hit by lightning 20 times that they counted. There were 6 other times they didn't count. And I was like, why? And it was something fucking stupid about, oh, it just hit near him. And I was like, you're fucking still experiencing the shock, right? Lightning won't kill you. It's not I think it's amperage or something that kills you, but lightning just, it hurts like hell. But the weird part is like, it always blows somebody's shoes off. And you're like, why does it blow your shoes off? Because it goes to the ground. So all that electricity, all that power goes to your feet and it just blows your shoes off because it's trying to find the nearest. It's basically lightning's always just trying to hit the ground and goes right through the ground. So if it hits you, it goes as fast as it possibly can to the bottom to the ground.
That's crazy.
It's
I've never
fucking
been struck by lightning.
proves, dude.
I mean, what are the odds of that, right? I mean,
20 times, and they're starting to think like maybe
man.
you have like a genetic disposed ability to being hit by lightning. I'm like,
What's it called? The thing you hold, right? You hold up the,
Benjamin Franklin had a kite on a key.
yeah. It's this dude's like almost like a lightning rod.
That could have went so bad if Benjamin Franklin, some people are looking at him like this motherfucker's flying a fucking kite in the middle of a thunderstorm with a key on it. And if lightning would not have hit it and it wouldn't have been this amazing moment, people would be like, look at that psychopath out there. Like he would have looked like a complete idiot. But then lightning hit, and next thing you know, he fucking becomes this innovator. It's like Thomas
Yeah.
Edison. I was watching Family Guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, some guy was like, we just invented the telephone. And Thomas Edison comes up and goes, what is that? He goes, we just invented he goes, telephone. It's a way to communicate with people. I'm Thomas Edison. I created that. And he walks over to the next one. What's this? We call this the sonogram. I'll tell you. And he just keeps on going, stealing everybody's inventions. I'm like, and they're like, look it up. Thomas Edison was a dick. I looked it up. It's pretty freaking true. Same thing with Patrick Swayze. They were like, Patrick Swayze. They're like, Patrick Swayze, why are you here? He goes, Patrick, well, I'm the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry that you died. And I'm like, Patrick Swayze's not dead. I just looked this up last month. And it was like, oh my God, Patrick Swayze
He
is dead.
dead.
Yeah,
He
I didn't
passed
know.
away of
I didn't
cancer,
know.
I do believe.
Family Guy teaches you shit.
Don't you think it's funny on how stuff is invented, though? It seems like it's always invented by accident, right?
Except
I mean,
like
sometimes not, I
eh,
guess, but
I think it's either forced creation or it's accidental.
yeah, I
I don't
agree.
I
I
think a lot
agree.
of times you hear stories about people that are like, "It came to me in the middle of the night." This type of idea. Like they had a Malcolm Middle episode where no, not Malcolm in the Middle. F is for Family with Bill Burr, the cartoon. The mom made a way that could dry your dishes without using your hands, and she was like this whole idea and invention and everything like that. But she was sitting at home all day, and she was a housewife, so she would just force inventions. She would force creativity, try and get creative, find easier way to cut things down and find things that need fixing. That's a lot of the time what happens with creators is just being bored out of your fucking
Yeah,
mind.
it's like Shark Tank. It reminds me of I watch Shark Tank, and then people bring their ideas, right, and they want to get
My mom's
investments.
boss wife was just on that show.
Oh, that's amazing! I probably seen
It's
it then
called
because I watch it.
Pinch Me Dough is what her creation was. It was like this dough that you pinch. It helps relieve stress and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was just on.
That was my mom's boss's wife.
Oh my god,
Did they
that
invest?
episode was just on.
Did they invest?
I do believe so.
My boy Mark Cuban.
I don't remember. I don't remember which one.
He's a
It might
good
have it
dude.
might have been Lori.
I tried to get him on my podcast. I was just gonna ask him, why the fuck are you famous? I don't know why.
He
So,
owns like sports teams and
but
stuff,
why?
man.
Why? How did he get the money? Where did it come
Yeah.
from? Did it inherit it?
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
All those guys are rich.
I would like to be. I don't know if I'd want to be rich because I probably would just honestly, if you ask me a legit honest answer, what would I do with a lot of money? I'd probably blow a good portion, not a good portion, probably a small portion of it on like stupid stuff. Like I would get my dream car. And then after I kind of like probably spent like $100,000 out of the billion, I would donate and start a lot of nonprofits. Um,
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
yeah, I mean, but
What would you donate to?
some charity that doesn't get a lot of donations. Like I'm not giving any
Like
more to the fucking blind. I'm not giving any more to the Make-A-Wish kids. I'm going to donate to the charity of like people that like can't see different colors. Like I can't see the color red. Fucking here's $1 billion. Fucking those people are probably struggling, man. You got to think of all the main charities you see out there where people donate because they have a thing in front of McDonald's or other something like that, like Make-A-Wish or
Yeah, but most people like I said when you watch celebrity game shows and
what
stuff.
about the donation to the kids with cleft palates? I'd like to fucking fund that. They don't ever get talked about.
I guess that's where I was going, right? So my child that I lost, she was born trisomy 13, and that was one of the defects is a cleft lip. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's where I was going. Most people will donate and set up stuff that personally affects them personally, right? More than something else. So
I guess I would be affected more by people that were put in a minority position. I would be donating more of that because I spent my whole entire life being a minority. So I'm fine with doing that.
yeah, that's good, dude. Everybody needs it. Let's say it's not just Make-A-Wish and cancer and everybody needs the money. Like everybody needs help.
That's why there's America's Got Talent.
Yeah, I love that show.
I watched the episode of it where it's nice to see that Howie's over his germaphobe thing. At
A
least
little bit,
he's handled it better.
Yeah.
But I saw a guy on there, like they had a couple of good performers, and then they had like the people that were singing from like they were all homeless people, and they were
Oh
all.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of like they weren't that good, but it was just like the causation of the movement of why they started it and the heart that was behind it, which is why I think everybody applauded. But I still think the guy
Yeah.
with the puppet that vomited on him was pretty fucking funny. I wish they wouldn't have cut that guy. That was hilarious. I did not expect that at all. I spit my coffee out watching that.
Oh man, I like the magic. I like the magic, and I like shows like that. I watch like I'm corny, I guess. I like watch the Voice and American Idol and America's Got Talent. I watch that stuff. It's fun.
You know what I started to realize is that teachers are not just teachers; they're entertainers.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of in a roundabout way, you could kind of say that.
Yeah, they're basically performing in front of a class, but they're trying to make sure that you remember information. So the best
They
way
have
to
to keep
do it
your
is,
attention,
yeah,
right? They have to, yeah, they have to educate you, and not. And I think we talked about this before, dude. Not everybody has that it factor. Certain people just have it. I think we were talking. This person can talk to you about this subject and you'll be like, eh. And then this person can talk to you and they're real persuasive and they just have that it factor. And you're, yeah. They're just better at speaking.
Yeah, see,
So
that's why like debates aren't a thing. I don't like when people are like, "I'll
yeah,
debate you on anything." Like
yeah.
even with Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro, it's like they're just really good at understanding things, and they're very that's what I would consider intellectual, is like being able to, it's just like anything when you get into a sales pitch, it's just who's the best convincer. I don't like people that try and just cut people off, and that's why I think my whole anger comes from, is because it's like taking a shortcut in a art, and not even an argument, just in a conversation style type thing. But like, that's why you see a bunch of people that go by pseudonyms or all these things that try and debate on like podcasts and stuff. They don't want to use their real name, is because they get something wrong, it doesn't look bad on them. And I'm like, man, if you're really so strong about it, you're so this, but so many people search for that argument. And I'm like, why? Why do you have to just turn everything into an argument, or who's right and who's wrong? We're all fucking wrong in this
Because
grand
it's our
scheme of
pride,
things.
right? And everybody's got it hurts our pride, and we have to be right. It's that old saying, we always have to have the last word. It's not an old saying. We have to have the last word, right? It's like one of those mottos. It's that's our pride. And that's what happens with, like I said, dude, people only want to believe in their point, and that's it.
If
So
you told people they're investing more time into worrying about what other person's doing rather than worrying about themselves, they would look at you like, sure. But imagine if I told people they're investing more time into social media rather than doing things that could actually help the community and create a better and safer place.
oh yeah, well, everybody's time is in social media. Like that's
So what
the
I've been
world
doing
we live in.
recently is I've been helping out at homeless shelters.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
You bastard.
I don't want those poor people around me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I would though, but I don't. There's not a large amount of homeless people in my area. The only homeless person I've ever encountered down here was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, they're
Um,
all over downtown Indianapolis. So I don't know if I brought this up on previous episodes since I've been on like about 100 of them. When me and my son go to like Pacer games, we have to walk under this like tunnel bridge, and they're all like there's like a row of them. They're all
do you have
under
to
this
like
like
not make
bridge.
eye contact with them?
Well, I mean, so look,
That's so sad.
I respect the guy when we're leaving the game. He's out there with his horn or whatever, and he's playing music. There's a guy out there hitting the buckets with the drumsticks, just like you've seen on TV. I mean, I respect those guys more because at least they're trying to like earn you giving them something. And I think I told you I always get a big soda when it's the only time I drink soda is when I go to a sporting event, and I make sure it's filled up, and then when I leave I give it to one of the people under the bridge when
That's
I
nice
walk
of you.
when I walk to my car.
So he's not going
Yeah,
to die of starvation. He's going to die of
I'll just die
diabetes.
of high fructose.
High fructose corn syrup. But like, see, it's hard for me to trust those things because I see people like out on the street with like need money for this, need money for that. So I need to know if it's truthful. So one time I followed a woman home. She like she was at the end of the street or something like that, and it was about like a 20-minute like. Well, I didn't
Those are
like
scams. You're talking about the people that are in the
let me
middle of the
let
road
me say
collecting
something.
money.
Hold on. So I didn't follow her home like I stalked her. What happened was I was heading home after like 2 hours of seeing this woman. She had walked near where my house was. So I was like seeing her and I was like, huh. So I just turned down the street and I just kind of like waited. I was like, if this person's actually homeless, I was getting ready to actually give her money. Like I was getting ready to give her a $20 bill when she walked up past my car. She took a turn, went up a driveway, went right into her house. I was like, bitch, had a sign that said she was homeless and she needed money. And I was like, that's a fucking
Yeah,
scam. But it's because
yeah,
people don't want to
we
work.
have that here. Yeah, we have that here. Like
It's
they're
like
everywhere.
alimony. I don't
Yeah.
get it. If you don't have kids, why the fuck are you? It goes both sides. Like the woman sometimes will get always gets usually alimony from the guy, but sometimes the guy gets it. And I'm like, did you guys fuck so hard you can't work? What is happening? Like, why are you still paying? Like, there was the one guy that he was married 12 years, but he'd been divorced for 17 and was still paying money to her. And I'm like, well, you guys were divorced longer and you had no kids. You guys are divorced longer than you were together. I don't understand what's the issue, but it's just a paycheck. Some people don't want to work. Some people just want to keep collecting money.
Huh.
which I get if you talk about like banging somebody that's older than you and then they die and leave you all their money. But I'm like, man, it's just cheap. Like, don't you want to you gotta have some effort and work to it. You can't just get everything handed to you 24/7.
Yeah, everybody wants everything handed to them on a silver platter, but that's not life,
It's a
right?
very controversial podcast. There's gonna be some dude out there like, hey, I get to bang her once a year and I get a McLaren. Fuck you. I'm like, all right. I'm not against it. I'd probably do it if I had the same opportunity as you. I'm jealous. Just say that. I'm jealous.
Yeah, welcome to the real world, man. You have to earn, right, everything that you get. So it's like my daughter. My daughter moved out, and this is good. She just recently joined the National Guard for the Army Reserves, and so she's about to go to boot camp here in at the end of May. So that's pretty cool. But once again, she's making that decision for herself to help her with her life. So, and she's going to work for everything she's going to get. When she gets back from boot camp, she's going to have a full ride through college because of the Army. She made that decision to do that. So that's awesome. But that's that thinking mentality, man. Like nothing is handed to you. You got to earn it. And she's going out there and grabbing it. Which
Oh
I
my
love it.
God. You
Amazing.
just fixed the world. Remember when we all used to be like, put your thinking caps on? Maybe we left it on the table. That's why so many people aren't thinking today, is because they forgot to put their thinking cap back on. Oh my God, we solved it. That's why people just walk out into the street without looking. I've seen that happen so many
They're
times
playing
at my work.
Pokemon Go. They're playing Pokemon
No,
Go.
not even that. Just when they leave the gym, they're not even looking both ways. They just walk right out in the middle of the street. I've seen, I think in a matter of like a month, 3 people almost get hit by cars.
It's like one of the first things you learn as a child. Look both ways before you
Nobody's
cross the road.
thinking that. See, it's the weird thing. Like when I started working at the gym, I started realizing how much I relate to a lot of these people. And then in everyday life, when I'm doing common, normal things, people would look at me as like a freak. Like my eating habits and then certain things of that. They're all stuff that you get when you're doing bodybuilding and stuff, like having different meal times. You have to eat at a certain time and all these types of things. These are all things you build up. Well, at the gym, we stop people if their accounts messed up after they worked out to handle their payments and stuff, because they're in the mindset of working out and it messes up their routine and people get frustrated by that. Same thing when you get done with a workout, you're thinking about heading home and eating, or you're thinking about heading home and doing whatever you're going to be doing. And that's why people don't look both ways, because their mind's already set on one thing.
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking fascinating to me how the brain works. I'm telling you, that's why I don't think we should be rushing.
And you know
shit.
what? Like with you, right? Because I know you haven't missed a gym day for 15,000 years, and you never skip days. Hey, Robbie, it's okay to take a day off.
No, I will
to let your body
I'll
rest.
die first. I physically can't. My mind, like I can't talk to people. I wouldn't be able to do a podcast. Like that's probably the only
One
thing.
day,
No,
your body needs it, right?
I tried it. Yeah, but people
body
say your
needs
body
to
needs
rest.
8 hours, but I can sleep 10 minutes and it'll feel like 10 years. So, I think I'm that abnormality, I would say. You know what I mean?
Well, I would tell you to rest, but then you'll probably be more stressed if you rest more. So I'll let you stress so you'll be more healthy.
What I'm saying is like, if I didn't have the
You're
gym,
the one that told me that at the top of the podcast.
at this time in my life right now, with everything that's happened in the past like week or so, without the gym, I would be way more of a mess than I probably am right now. That's what I'm saying, is like that's been the clear focus for me. Like for me to be able to talk to people, it's always been I need to work out first. I can't do it without it. That's why I do it first thing in the morning. So nobody's bothering me and stuff. Plus, it's processing time. I think everybody has a moment of processing.
Look, you reached out and you're like, hey man, you want a podcast? And like literally the first thing I'm just like, dude, you just released like our 10th episode like earlier this week. And, but I know what just happened. I'm just like, he just wants to talk and I'm not going to deny him.
Thank you. Plus this won't go up for like a week or so. So
that's fine. But like, I knew
it's our 5th podcast. We've talked for a total of, I think, averaging my podcast and yours, I think we've talked for probably over 18 hours on a Zoom call, and then not even including text or phone calls or any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, no. And look, once again, man, I know you needed me to talk, and dude, I'm here for you, man. Like, I love talking to you. So
I'm okay. I have my dumbbells and
you have your it's fun. Here, a quick story before we leave this episode. So I went to my brother's house last
Tell him
I
I said
actually
hi.
saw. Yeah, I will. I actually saw him in person instead of through video.
I'm calling the police.
But he has his own like home gym. I'm talking the weight bench, the thing that the weights that do this, and it's nice. He's got his home, and he's
Called a
down
pec
like,
fly. It's called a
hey,
pec fly.
he's down 75 pounds.
Yeah, he looks really good. I saw him on the last thing.
So-
I was like, he's lost weight.
So congrats. So yeah, kudos to my brother. So I go to the bench, and I guess there's only 30 pounds on it. He's just like, and I'm like, all right, let me try to do this. And I was just like, hey man, you should probably spot me. He's like, I'm not spotting you for 30 pounds. I think I did it twice, and my hand started shaking, and he had to come over and like get the bar. So he puts me on the machine that's got the weights where you, like I said, you pull them in, and the weights are behind you, and you lift them up.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right. He's like, let's see if you can do this. Dude, I struggle. I don't remember how much weight was on there, but like I couldn't move the bars, and he gets on there and just lifts up like a feather.
Yeah, well, it's also weight too.
He told me to keep lifting from my stomach
That's kind of fucking no.
or my chest or whatever.
That's not bad. No, that's
he was
good.
like, don't use your arms, use your
that's good
chest.
That's good technique, but it's also at the same time you're gotta understand there's a weight difference. Same reason, like when I'm benching, I used to be able to bench 2 plates. I've always been able to bench at least 45 pounds more than I weigh. But I mean, when I was lifting hard, like I was going to the gym twice a day back in you've seen old pictures of me and stuff like that. When I was like getting super into it and stuff like that, I ripped my chest muscle. And the only bad part about that was it was at 2:00 in the morning. So I was the only person in the gym. So I dropped 2 plates on my chest and I couldn't get it off of me. So I don't put clips on the end of my bars for this exact reason. I didn't have the clips on and I turned to one side and the thing dropped the weight off and the bar flipped to the other side because all the weight was on the other side now and flipped over. Had so much adrenaline. I had to run around my gym like twice. And then I came back in and I finally was able to calm down. But yeah, the next day I went into the gym. I had taped my chest and my shoulder together with electrical tape. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hit chest again. And I just did chest again. But my shoulder has never been okay after that. So like now I can do a plate and like 10 pounds on each side, which is still, I'm only 125. So that is like, I think 150, 155. So that's still pretty good. But it all depends on your weight, man. Like I've seen fat people who've never, you do need to build up a foundation first. So like when I first started working out, if you ever see anybody work out or do a bench press for the first time, when they lift the bar off the thing, it's very, very heavy. They don't know how to control it. They're all over the place with it. But then you get used to the technique once you start doing it. Eventually, like there's a guy at my gym is like 245 pounds, but he can bench press like 295, which it sounds like a lot. It's not really compared to your weight because that's just like doing a push-up. Like I can do pull-ups like it's nothing. Like I could do like 50 pull-ups easy, but some people can't do one. But that's just because I've worked on my upper body more than my legs. I've tried to hit my legs, but it's difficult for me because I can just never gain size in them. They just always stay the same. So like I can do a bunch of pull-ups because my lower part of my body, if I was a cripple, it'd be easy for me. It's like when you see a cripple and their arms are super jacked
because they're so jacked.
From using the upper torso. I've used my upper torso so much that my legs are like basically weightless. So when I do a pull-up, my strength is bigger than my legs would be.
So is that the goal, is to lift your own body weight, or obviously to lift more? Double your body weight, or
see that
what's the goal? Like what is the, because dude, I know nothing about weightlifting.
That's the biggest question for you as a person. People try and model themselves off of things that they want. So what would you want? Would you want to be aesthetically good looking, or would you want to build up mass? Do you want to build up strength? Because there's power lifters, bodybuilders, there's crossfitters, it all depends on what you're going for. For me, I'm more about aesthetic appeal. I don't really care about being the guy that can bench 300 pounds. I'm more about like I do reps. If I can't crank out 30 reps in a set, then I don't do it. So if I do a 45-pound plate, I make sure I can hit 30 reps and put it up. It all just depends on what you want, man, because it all depends on how much you eat. I consume under 400 calories a day. So like actually in the past 3 days, just with everything that's been going on, I've only had 2 protein shakes. So
jeez.
Well, that's just
you gotta eat.
Well, I'm not hungry because I'm more in pain, I would say, emotionally. Pat me on the shoulder, tell me it's gonna be okay.
It's
No,
gonna be okay. Eat some food.
but it's like people like to physically get stronger, to physically get bigger, put on more mass, you need to eat. And if you're not eating to sustain that, then you're not going to grow. You're just going to stay the same. So I'm fine with having the six pack. I'm fine with having the aesthetic look and everything like that. I prefer that more because the reason why I started working out was to get better looking. It wasn't to get stronger. It was to get more ripped and not be known as like the fat kid or be known as this. And then eventually, so like when I try and you'll self diminish yourself by trying to like add more bulk to your diet, eat more meals, and then eventually, like I'll look at myself and be like, "Oh, it's getting on as fat. Got to run this off." And it's like, it all depends on who you are as a person, what your goal is. To be healthier, do things like be more active. You know, run on the treadmill like you do certain
Yep.
things like that. But if you're looking to build up size, like people in these bodybuilding competitions, it requires working out twice a day, requires eating meals, requires
It's
you know
dedication.
it's a
Yeah.
science to it all. And it was like interesting because when I got involved into the gym life and I'd be like, I have to leave by this time. They're like, why? I'm like, because I have to eat at this time. They're like, oh, we get it. And for most people, like you can fucking wait to your lunch break. And it's like, no. The bodybuilder people that all the ones that do the same things, it made me feel so normal. And I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
everything I've been trying to explain for like the longest time with people in my own household, they're like, you're a fucking making me feel like a freak. And like I feel fucking normal to it. I'm like, I fucking understand. It's like the environment that you're in. So I would have to, if I
Yeah,
was gonna,
it's see, it's like me being at a Star Wars convention. I'm right at home.
and for me, it would be like, all right, I'm a fan.
No, but no, it's the same thing. Like you and your people that work out and lift weights, they understand each other. Like they know, like, yeah, like you said, like, hey, I got to go home and eat at a certain time. Absolutely. You better don't be late. Right. You gotta stick to your routine and you gotta
So
they understand because they're
that's
doing the same thing.
that's part and parcel with me understanding somebody's flaws or understanding somebody's whatever their notions of their routine. Like so many people go, no, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. It's like no. I look at it like, oh, I understand this person has built this up into their head to be this. You know what I mean? Like this, it takes a while, and I think for me, it's a come to grips with myself of I have to like so many people are like, it's not healthy to work out at the gym every single day. Probably not, but in my mind, it's what I have to do to be able to function. I remember I made it all the way to like 10:30 at night one time without working out, and I just fucking snapped, dude. I ran to the gym, fucking drove there, whatever, in the middle of a snowstorm, and I freaking worked out, and I felt so much better afterwards. And I came back the next day at 3 o'clock in the morning, so only a few hours of rest. Same time, get my routine right back on track because it's everyone's got their little thing, and it
Well,
happens
that's the
with
thing, and that's the problem with society, right? Is like you said, somebody's gonna go, well, why don't you just wait to eat? You can wait an hour instead of the person being like, hey, stopping and trying to understand and say, hey, Robbie, why do you have to be on time? What's the purpose? And then you educate them, and then they're just like, oh, that makes sense. You got to stick to your routine as you work
Yeah,
out.
but it's very hard for people to have that understanding when they don't have that experience for themselves with something that they do. So a lot of people look at you like, no, that's fucking crazy. That's just
That's the
psychotic.
problem. People need to be more educated and be more curious and understanding and willing to learn about things they don't know about. That's why
No,
I'm sitting here asking you. I know nothing about weightlifting. I
it's
know
not
nothing
more
about
about
it.
understanding. It's more about in the right way. We're understanding
Yeah.
enough as people, but we're not understanding in the right ways. Canceling a Dr. fucking Seuss book is not a right way of understanding
I
something.
grew up with those books, man. Wow.
It's like
Unbelievable.
PETA. Understand your animal slur shit is not fucking the priority here. It's about actually fixing these areas where animals are being tortured and hurt and being inhumanely killed. But they're
In
like,
the
no,
arms of an angel.
I'm
Fly
gonna
away.
you angelophobe. That's what it's gonna turn into. It's gonna turn into all this shit. And I'm like, we gotta be more understanding and a better form of doing it. I just don't like,
I just love it because you're fine. If I hear one more Sarah McLaughlin
oh fuck.
song
If I hear one more Sarah McLachlan.
that's how you know I listen to you.
It's a good reference. That was a good one. I'll give you that. I'm gonna end on that one. Mike, you've been on 5 times. You know that? This will be episode 6.
And there's gonna be 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The
The
saga will always
saga
continue.
will have
my
more
friend.
episodes than Star Wars movies.
That's right. We're on our way.
Where can people find the amazing Sith Talkers?
So you can find the amazing Sith Talkers on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Stitcher, all the podcast platforms. We do a weekly Star Wars podcast show. It drops every Sunday night. We are on. I don't know when you're dropping this, but since this week will be our 100th episode, which is absolutely amazing. We are also on YouTube. We do reaction videos, me and my brother. So that is a lot of fun. So check us out on YouTube. It's all at Sith Talkers. All the social medias at Sith Talkers. So check us out. We're just a lot of fun. Just want to entertain.
Do you want to end it how you end it?
What do you mean?
You always say that one line at the ending.
What line?
At the end of Sith Talkers. Are you forgetting your own line?
Well, the way I end every podcast is I, Lando, and Robbie, we are out.